How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews back with new brewery time, courtesy of my boy Carson. Now it would be Mocama Brewing. It's their Cosmico. Yeah, Cosmico IPA. This be a 7% alcohol by volume. Citra, Eldorado, and Sultana hopped IPA. It's just about 2 months old, or it is 2 months old. And yeah, first time I'm having anything from these guys. He sent me off a box of beers, some of his homebrew, and then he threw in a couple of these guys in there. This is the first one I'm cracking. I also have a Pilsner, and I also have a double IPA. So we'll see how things go. So let's just pour that whole thing in there. Relatively clear beer. Maybe that's a time thing, a date thing, a 2-month thing, or it could be the way the beer is meant to be. They don't write anything on here about a hazy IPA, so we shouldn't sit here and assume they are. 2-row flaked oats and flaked wheat. You would assume that would be a hazy formula. And label-wise, I really dig it. It's got this kind of very Egyptian kind of vibes going on, so I dig it. Burps. And the beer it's a hazy beer in definition, but by today's standards, it's quite a bit kind of lighter, or more less opaque than you'd expect. Pinky finger, tight, compact, creamy head. It's got a rich orange gold. Reminds me a lot of the coloration you get on a lot of old school, new school, like a kind of two-hearted level, kind of double IPA, kind of Midwest kind of IPA vibe to it. That's what I'm getting there. A rich amber in color. So it's good nose. It smells like one of those beers too, because it's got this big citrus component that comes off slightly like crystallized sweet sugary, kind of like, like a raw sugar kind of, as opposed to like a powdered sugar or something softer or lighter. It's more that crystalline kind of sweetness to it, with a soft citrus note to it, a little bit of dusty, old kind of West Coasty kind of hops. Done and done. Let's dive in. Cheers. Ooh, that's sweet. That's very sweet. It very much reminds me of Midwest IPA. Old school, new school Midwest IPA. Your Bell's, your Half Acre, your that kind of their double IPAs that they produced in the kind of mid to late aughts into the early teens. Sweet. Very sweet. Sugary sweet. White sugar kind of sweetness. A citrus sweetness with it's really hard to get past the sweetness, to be honest with you, with a bittering component. There is a bittering, there is a rindy orange peel kind of bittering with a little bit of West Coast influence in there, but it's very hard to get to because this beer is very, very sweet. Way sweeter than I thought it was going to be, way sweeter than I would like it to be. It almost tastes like a beer that you would add sugar to. So in that sense, I'm kind of just not a fan of it, and it's kind of a bummer. I don't know if it's a time thing. I highly doubt it. It's not like the sweet's going to get more or less or anything like that over time. There's going to be variation, but I feel like this probably had that level of sweetness at the get. Maybe the mouthfeel dropped off. Maybe the hops have dropped off, so that sweetness kind of comes off a little bit more elevated. I'm curious to see what the double IPA comes out at, because that one's about a month old. So we'll see how that one kind of lands. But yeah, it's really hard to let's get past much of that aggressive level of sweetness on this beer. But it's a new brewery. I mean, like Carson was telling me in the unboxing, if you want to go watch that, I think they opened their doors, and this might have been one of the first beers that were released when they opened their doors back in November of 2020. So we're in January 2020, so a 3-month-old brewery. So I don't want to poop on them, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, listen, how can I poop on them? They have a vertical barcode on here. You know how much I love my vertical barcodes. It means they know what they're doing, at least from a marketing standpoint. Or just a business standpoint. Don't get me started on barcodes. But it's just too sweet for me. And that sweetness is very much like a white granulated sugar kind of sweetness. And it really trumps all the other bits and parts of the beer, because there is some fun hoppiness going on in this IPA from the way that citrus kind of plays, that little bit of kind of West Coast, I say dirty old hop, because it's kind of like like just an old school, I guess you would say, kind of West Coast kind of greeny hop. And they're there, but with how sweet the beer comes off, it prevents me from really digging into those beers. Now, each sip I take, a little less sweet because you're getting acclimated to it, but even on third or fourth sip here, definitely getting a big burst of that sweetness. Let's talk about it. It's one of the better IPAs I've had as of late. No. Value availability, no idea. Like I said, Carson said they just opened recently, so I'm sure they're brewery only, even during COVID times. Who knows? It's Florida. They do whatever they want down there, and leave you with, if you like what we like, this beer. If you like new breweries trying to do good things, and I say that because, the first can to roll out of a brewery is a little too sweet for me 2 months after it was canned. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I don't know if I like this beer or not. I'll reserve judgment for their other beers. And not even that. I'll probably wait until, maybe Carson sends me a little bit more when they grow into their system. They grow into their beers and they grow into their stylings. My wife is doing like a baby dance for rubbing her belly over there, so I'm having a hard time concentrating right now. But anyway, yeah. So in no way, shape, or form does this beer turn me off from this brewery because they're new. They're trying to do fun things. And I think that's something to be saluted, absolutely, without a doubt, definitely during COVID times. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out in the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out in the whole podcasting thing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of, Florida beer right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.